Ben Brown here with Brad Korn. I'm one of the teachers here at Evolution Martial Arts in Sparks, Nevada. And this video is going to be about the body lock. We're going to talk about the position itself, not really how to get there. That'll be another video. And I like to kind of teach backwards that way, because if you can get to a place but you can't stay there and you don't know what to do with it, then I think it sends negative feedback sometimes. So I like to work backwards, as if you've already got the position, what to do with it, how to feel comfortable there, and then entries into it. And ironically, if you know that this is the place you want to get to, it's funny how often you can find your own way there sometimes. So that's the way I like to work. So the body lock, I'm going to just show the position itself. So there's a couple of different iterations of this. Let's come this way just a little bit. Body lock, I'm around his waist, okay? Key thing here, it started with an underhook where I connected my head to Brad. The other thing I want to connect is my hips to his hips. What I don't want to do is I don't want to be in front of Brad. I don't want his hips facing me. Essentially, I want my hips to face Brad. I want his hips to face away from me. This is about the angle from here, and then essentially all the way around the body to the other side to about this angle, so you're kind of right in front of him. But as I start to get in front of Brad, it starts to give him things that I don't want him to have. Essentially, he wants to free these hips up. So I got my body lock here. I'm around his waist. The best grip to use, gable grip. I always tell people, prayer, twist your hands, thumbs stay married to their own, and then you close here. You don't want this space with your thumbs and grappling for the most part. That's not an always, but it's a usually thing. This is how you hurt thumbs. You get thumbs tweaked, broken, right? So gable grip. What's great about this grip is it locks into itself. It's probably the most useful grip in grappling. Close second, S grip right here. This grip, I don't know what to call it, kind of the weave grip. Also self-locking, right? A lot of people, when they start out, they go for a grip like this, which it's not wrong, it's not bad per se, it's just not nearly as good, because this grip slides off of itself. I call it the meh grip, M-E-H, because it's kind of meh compared to this, right? So I'm here on Brad, my head is connected. I have good posture. I'm not allowing my posture to be broken like this. This is not an athletic stance. We wouldn't do anything athletic with our head down like that, our head in front of our hips. We want our spine aligned, right? Nice spinal structure here. And the thing here, let's come this way a little, Brad, is even without a grip, okay, when I'm connected to Brad with my body like this, I can move him pretty easily. Okay, try moving me. He can't really, I mean, it's hard for him to move me, especially if I lower myself. But I can move him very easily. And then what happens is you add the grip, and what that does is I don't allow his hips to go anywhere. So he's totally connected to me now. Usually what I do anytime I get here on a person is I lower my hands, I drop my grip, because most humans have kind of an hourglassy type deal, and it just causes our hands to want to raise up. But when my hands get above Brad's hips, all he has to do, he doesn't even have to frame, he can just put pressure on me and start hipping out. But watch what happens when I drop my grip just a little. Go ahead and do that again. He can't, right? It's really hard for him. I'm not saying it would never happen, but it's really, really hard. So that much of a drop in where my grip is, where my hands are, changes everything as far as his ability to get away. So the ideal position, hips connected, head up. So Brad needs to separate my head, and it's late. It's gonna be really hard for him to do that. This is a body lock, okay, with the head in front. Notice where my hands are. They wanna come up here. I drop them down, okay, kind of below his iliac crest, this hip bone, and I start pulling everything into my hips while I lean my head forward. And you can see Brad start going over. Now here's the thing that I'm working on with the body lock is I want to break down his base. This is called a block and drive takedown. It's like when we were on the playground, someone would kneel behind somebody, push them over, that person on the ground. You're blocking their ability to base, and you're driving them over the base. For block and drive, it can either be a push over the block, or it can be a pull over the block. In this case, it's a push. So I'm taking away Brad's ability to base. I don't want to take him straight to the side here because he still might be able to base. I don't want to take him that way because he definitely can base. You see how I moved his foot? And if I don't have a great grip and everything tight, if I take him straight that way, he can base that way. But where he can't base is that 45-degree angle, okay? So I get here, let's scoot this way a little. Okay, I'm gonna just tilt you at first, Brad. See how connected my head is? Now anywhere I go, Brad goes. And it's all my core. But I pull his hips in, I drive, 45 degrees, he starts tilting. Okay, so this time I'm gonna go ahead and take you down. Okay, we were hand fighting, whatever. I got in here, got my head connected before he could disconnect it, got my grip, elbows in tight, and I just tilt him over and drive him down. Okay, and that's a body lock takedown, block and drive. We'll start over here again. So in a very contrived way, you know, it'll never be this easy, but yeah, let's say Brad reaches but lazily for my head. His head's higher than mine and he reaches, and I slide inside that space. I get my hands connected. You can see right away he's trying to disconnect my head, which is what he's supposed to do, but it's too late. And I put his hips on the ground. That in essence is a body lock takedown. Okay, that's a block and drive. Let's talk about one more scenario, which is my head ends up behind. Whether it initially ends up behind him or he starts to frame my head and I swim my head around him. I always use the analogy, you push down on a dog's head and they turn the corner there. So when this happens, I start to get my body lock, but Brad starts to frame my head very early, so we'll turn this way. I will swim my head to the back. Again, I gable grip. One caveat here is it's a little better if the hand behind him is on the bottom because it gives me a little more leverage. But you can see my posture. Let's turn a little more here, Brad. You can see my posture still good. I'm not like this. My hips aren't away from him. My hips are into him, connected. My grip is tight and low. I got a gable. I'm gonna pinch this elbow into my ribs and I'm gonna put his hips on the ground right there. Very, very hard to stop. One of the hardest takedowns to stop. We'll come this way. Let's do it again. Okay, so we'll start and then I'll turn. So we're hand fighting. He reaches for my head. And it's funny, you don't even know how to do it lazily.
I know.
But his problem here is just that his head is higher than mine. He's on his way, he's trying to connect this, but it's gonna be hard to. I get in here, he starts pushing on my head. Instead of fighting that good frame, I just duck my head through, okay? Now I've got my good posture. He's connected to me. I can move him around here. He's going where I'm going. But what I want to do is I want his hips on the ground, okay? This isn't ideal, this is better. I pull my elbow in and I put his hips right on the ground, okay? I call it the elbow pinch because your elbows are kind of pinching in like this and I'm driving him and I'm just putting his hips straight on the ground. Body lock, 2 takedowns, block and drive, elbow pinch.